tonight. 8 sharp minds from Bite Size Sports all come together to provide you the hard-hitting analysis that you need around the NFL draft. 8 drafters, 31 picks. There's going to be surprises. There's going to be snipes. And there's going to be a little celebration. Settle in as we have a birthday to celebrate. And now, here's an intro song that no one knew I was going to play, but we all have to be reminded who the reigning champs actually are.
In overtime, Chiefs first down and goal to go.
I want to win every single day.
Mahomes looks to throw it. Pump faking, right side, he wants it. A comeback cut. It is caught by Kelsey.
Yeah, when it's grim, be the Grim Reaper.
Touchdown! Kansas City!
Welcome in, guys. Bite Size Sports presents to you All right, I'll kill it.
Was not approved.
Let's go. I had to remind everybody one time. We don't actually have an intro song, so I figured I'd pull that out of the archives and throw it in there.
It's a good pick.
What's up, everybody? We will go around the horn real quick, introduce ourselves, let everybody know who we're drafting for. I'll say host tonight, Trevor Steinbacher. I'm drafting for the NFC South. Which is kind of back to what the olden days were when you only had to win 7 or 8 games to win your division. That's kind of how I feel like they are again, especially without one Tom Brady in the division anymore. Kev, I'll kick it over to you.
Hello. Welcome. I am Kev. I will be drafting.
Birthday boy.
Thank you. Yes, it is my 21st birthday. You'd be able to tell by my luscious head of hair, but I have to wear the I gotta rep the brand here, so that's the only reason I'm wearing a hat. I'll be drafting for the Colts and the NFC East minus the Washington football team. So to be honest with you, I'm more nervous about my Cowboys pick than the Colts pick because I have a lot of friends and family members who are diehard Cowboy fans, and to be honest, Colts fans are already disappointed in me, so I don't have anything to lose there. So wish me luck.
Pressure's on.
Johnny Football, let's go.
Yeah, I'm John Boyd, Vikings guy, if you can see down there. So I was able to steal the Vikes, but I've got the Commanders just because birthday boy was stuck with a ton of picks where he doubled up with his teams, and then I've got the Steelers and the Bengals as well. So kind of AFC North, but the Browns don't have a pick. And the Ravens don't have a pick. So I'm Vikings and Commanders, Steelers, Bengals.
Jameis, I muted myself, sorry.
I noticed. I am James Schmeitz. I am the co-host of The Bounce. I am a basketball guy, so here we go. But I'm an avid Titans fan, and I did give up the Colts to the birthday boy, even though I was going to draft Will Levis. I had it set in stone. I didn't care what happened beforehand. Bryce Young and C.J. Stroud could have both been there, and it was going to be Will Levis. But happy to be here. Let's do it, boys.
Dan.
What's going on? Dan Portillo, co-host of ADP with our host that we have here tonight, Trevor. I'll be drafting for the defending Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs, as well as the rest of the AFC West. The Denver Broncos, they decided to mortgage their future for Russell Wilson, so they do not get a pick in the first round this year, but I will be holding it down for the Chargers and the Raiders as well, I guess. So I'm looking forward to it.
Michael.
Hi, I'm Michael. I'll be drafting for the NFC West, except for the Rams don't believe in having draft picks, and the Niners also, started a guy they had in the 7th round. When they just traded up to get somebody in number 3. So it'll actually just be the Cardinals and Seahawks, and then I'll also be picking for the Packers because I'm a avid Packers fan.
Milwaukee's best. Nate, what's up, man?
Ethan. I resident beer slinger in this group here.
I love it.
Yeah, at the brewery I work at. I'll be drafting half of the NFC North, and I don't unfortunately get to tank the Packers. So, it's unfortunate there, but I'll be drafting both the Lions picks, the Bears, and the Ravens.
And Nick, I'm the one who probably hurt the most from the intro song.
Yeah.
What's up, man?
Hey guys, what's going on? I'm gonna be drafting for my beloved AFC East, the division I know all too much. So I got the Jets, the Packers, the Patriots, and my Bills.
The Bills. Well, welcome in, everyone. Welcome into the chat. If you're here with us, hit that like button if you would. Subscribe to Bite Size Sports. We've got shows going on all week long. This is just number 1 of 4 for this week. Every night of the week, Monday through Thursday, there will be a live show this week. You already heard a little bit about a couple of them. We'll talk more about them later. But welcome in. Chat is already rolling today, which is awesome. We welcome in your thoughts. Let us know how bad we are, how bad our picks are. And I'm going to start real quick because we're about to start the draft. I want the chat to let us know who should be the number 1 pick. Should it be Stroud or should it be Young? Because it feels like it's starting to become a real conversation for the Panthers. Should they take Bryce Young? I already see here Ben saying the Texans are hoping and praying that the Panthers take Stroud so they can take Bryce Young. I would agree with that. I think that Bryce Young's kind of starting to close the gap a little bit here. But let us know in the chat, CJ Stroud or Bryce Young for the Carolina Panthers. Help me take my first pick. And as I pull this up, we'll kind of get this thing kicked off.
Do it.
All right. We still see everybody. 1, 2, 3.
Shout out to D West in chat. I see you. I appreciate it.
KevCom, what's up? The Cubs fans.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Got outnumbered Trevor here.
That's right. I didn't even wear my cards hat. I did wear my cards. I did bring my cards koozie though. So
Oh wait, I got my Brewers
don't worry
jersey.
about that. Don't worry about that.
It's somewhere.
Joseph Ryan says, is Richardson the most overhyped quarterback prospect since Trubisky?
Whoa.
Joseph Ryan clearly did not watch our last episode of ADP when I said Anthony Richardson, the number 1 fantasy quarterback in this class. Hopefully he's not Mitchell Trubisky, because I'm already going all in on this guy with the way he uses his legs.
I got to say real quick before we get into this, the Mitchell Trubisky sufferer. If anybody is going to be the Mitchell Trubisky of this class, it's going to be Will Levis. But anyway, we'll continue.
Yeah.
Hey, put some respect on Josh Rosen's name, okay? He was drafted back with Trubisky.
Oh my God.
Josh Rosen.
The Rosen one.
There were 9 mistakes ahead of me.
All right. Well, I'm going to kick it off here, guys. I am going to go CJ Stroud for the Carolina Panthers. I do think that there is a chance that Bryce Young is the pick. But right now, I think if the draft was today, I think they're taking CJ Stroud, and I think that's the better quarterback of the two. Bryce Young, obviously, there's a lot of conversation around his height, but both these guys have a good chance to be great quarterbacks in this league, and both of these guys have a chance to be week 1 starters.
So I've got the Texans. I don't buy the hype that they are looking for a defensive player here. I think that's an insane thing with the top 2 prospects. I also Trev thinks this falls perfectly. I think the Texans want Bryce Young. I think that's the prospect they want. I've got the Texans taking Bryce Young at 2. I think that's exactly who they want. It falls perfectly for them.
Mel Kiper better look out.
Right?
James coming for you.
Oh yeah, this team's coming for him. Better watch out, bud.
Trev, I gotta disagree with you there. I'd have to say it's Bryce Young.
Do we have the draft soundboard going? We need we need to get that pick in.
Can we throw in the Matthew Berry fantasy one that says "Hurry up and make your pick"?
Oh yes, that's the best one.
You're on the clock.
That's an
That is
all-time
the
classic.
With
That is the best one.
with the third pick, I said pre-show that if I'm the Cardinals, I'm not picking at 3, but it's today. Trades aren't allowed. I'm going Will Anderson. J.J. Watt retired. I don't think it's going to be a rebuild year. Like Kyler's not going to play for probably 8 weeks, if not more. So they're taking Will Anderson number 3. It's just J.J. Watt's retired. They don't have any edge guy really at all. So I think they have to invest heavily in their defense. And
after that down year with only 61 pressures.
Yeah, down year. Yeah, Will Anderson is. If they don't trade down, I'd be willing to put money on the fact that Will Anderson's a Cardinal.
Yeah, I think they're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that if they don't trade, I think you're spot on here.
Yeah.
This looks
There's a
pretty
good
on
question.
par with most of the mocks I've seen so far, for sure.
How many people? There's a good question. How many of us think they're going to trade it? I definitely do.
Man, I'm thinking about the Raiders.
A lot of us, yeah.
Maybe the Lions.
Yep.
I could see it.
The Cardinals.
Who knows what's going to happen with the Aaron Rodgers situation? Maybe the Jets make the move as a surprise pick.
Ooh.
No, I need him gone.
But I mean, even if they do, I mean, what? Rodgers is there for a year, maybe 2. Get up there and get your guy now.
What's the Jeopardy host salary looking like?
He's set. He's ready to go back.
Trebek made a living. I think he can do it too.
Oh, does this make it my turn at 4, huh?
Yeah.
This is it.
Yes,
Every,
The one
Who
we're
is
all
your
waiting on.
future?
every Colts content creator's nightmare right here. I'm gonna throw out a disclaimer just to get it out of the way. I'm not gonna be upset regardless of who is chosen here. And I also won't be surprised to see Chris Ballard trade down depending on what happens. For instance, if it plays out the way it's played out before us now and someone doesn't trade up to 3 to take a quarterback, I would not be surprised to see Chris Ballard trade down. I'm not saying that I think that would be the move that I would make, but I'm just saying that as someone who's watched Chris Ballard for the last 6 years. However, both these quarterbacks are projects. If you look at Will Levis right now, he is the more ready-to-play player. He's more accurate under pressure by a long shot over Anthony Richardson. Anthony Richardson throws more uncatchable. 1 out of every 4 passes are uncatchable, even with a clean pocket. But we're looking at upside. We're looking at potential. And I'm going to go ahead and agree with all those folks that say if you're going to take a gamble, take the gamble that gives you the best chance to win the most. So give me Richardson here. But I hate being at this pick. I hate it. And I will be 100% behind Will Levis if that is the Colts pick. But
Dude.
Tim Couch makes me scared to ever root for any Kentucky QB, but that's my own issue.
As an AFC South fan, I hate this. I hate that Bryce Young and Anthony Richardson are currently moving to the South. I hate it. I hate it.
Not scared of Will Levis, huh?
Well, you have 37-year-old Ryan Tannehill.
The South is due, man.
Titans they're not rebuilding. We're just reloading, man.
As a fantasy football guy, I would love this landing spot for Anthony Richardson. The things that I can't say this head coach's name for the life of me, but coming from Philadelphia, what he did with
Shane Steichen.
Steichen.
Yeah,
I never knew how to say his last name, but what he did over the last couple of years in Philadelphia, I just really think that he has a chance to take a guy like Richardson and make him into, at the very least, a really good fantasy quarterback.
Hey, he's got Michael Pittman Jr. to throw to. That guy's been feeling he's been feeling a little disgruntled, I think, lately. So hopefully that turns him up a little bit.
Alec Pierce too. Look out.
Oh God, they love their Alec. They love Alec Pierce over there.
Hey, he's good. You just all he needs is one guy throwing to him for more than 4 weeks at a time, and see if he might improve a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, in that backfield with Anthony Richardson and Jonathan Taylor would just be insane. Even if he's, Justin Fields last year in his rookie year, just as a rusher, like that's real hard to stop, especially if Quentin Nelson gets back to where he was after his little bit of a fall off last year.
Kev, if they make that pick, is he the day one starter?
I don't think so. That wouldn't be what I would do. You have Minshew out there. I am in the belief that this. Yeah, I don't believe this team is a playoff contending team this year. So I guess it really kind of depends on how the front office feels, how the coaching staff feels. But I know you want to get a guy like Richardson out there early, but I don't think he's only played 13 games. I just don't see him being ready to go in a meaningful or helpful way in week one. But Colts fans have no fear. Remember, Peyton Manning set a record for most interceptions thrown as a rookie. So there's some historical evidence to say just get him out there and let him make those mistakes, and we'll have another good draft pick. But honestly, I expect, regardless of who's drafted, unless somehow Stroud falls, and even maybe then, I think Minshew's the week one starter, but Richardson by week 5 or 6.
For sure. I think the biggest thing you have to worry about when you're throwing a QB in the fire like that is just killing their confidence, because we've seen it happen so many times with other quarterbacks that are kind of thrust into that role a little bit too soon. I mean, I think that hopefully not, because you want these guys to succeed, but I'm worried that might have been the case for Will Levis actually in Tennessee. He kind of had to go out there a little bit too soon, and he just needed to develop more as a passer, and you just hope that doesn't kill his confidence for, the rest of his career.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, Michael, you are on the clock.
I am on the clock. We really need the Matthew Berry sound effect. It would add a whole other level.
Make your pick.
With the 5th overall pick, I do have the Seahawks taking Tyree Wilson. I just think that's kind of a match made in heaven for them. I know I've seen a couple of mocks where somehow Anthony Richardson falls to 5. I shouldn't say somehow. That very well could happen. And Pete Carroll just starts over, but keeps Geno, because like the same situation with Anthony Richardson going to Indianapolis. Like, he probably won't be the week 1 starter. So he probably wouldn't be in Seattle either, especially with Geno, being as good as he was last year, that contract that he got. So, yeah, I think Tyree Wilson's a surefire pick.
What do you guys think of a possible trade scenario here at pick 5? If, let's say, in our case, Levis is still available, right? Maybe the Raiders are one of those other teams we mentioned trading up to the 5 spot with the Seahawks. You guys foresee that as like a possibility at all?
Yeah, I think that would make a lot of sense.
I think Nate had something in there too.
Yeah.
Can you really hear me, or am I still really quiet?
Oh, now you're good.
You're good.
Okay. It's good now.
I'd honestly, I don't think Seattle's going to trade out of the 5 personally. I think once you get through 3 quarterbacks, the other teams there that are kind of looking. I even, no offense to James, but I think the Titans should look at maybe getting another quarterback, because they're obviously in no man's land.
Do not pass go.
But looking at like the Titans and the Raiders, I think the Raiders could stay pat if they're looking for another quarterback, just because Seattle's not going to take the 4th choice of the 4, and Detroit is pretty well set right now. So I think the Raiders would be the most likely to trade up, but they're also in a sweet spot where they can just do whatever, really.
Yeah, might be a wild card, kind of trying to jump the Raiders, I suppose, but it's tough to have that smoke screen of like, oh, we'll take them if you don't trade up for them when you're Seattle. even Detroit, like maybe with Detroit, but I think I think they're going to try and go all in with a Goff. Same way Seattle's going to feel like they're in playoff contention with Geno this year. But yeah, I mean, the Goffense, exactly.
Well, we are through 5 picks in our first round mock draft here. If you're in the chat, let us know. How do you feel about our picks so far? Are we on par? Are we off our rockers? Anthony Richardson, I think at 4 is probably the most off the wall pick. It's not really off the wall in my opinion, but I would say it's probably one that we're not seeing as often as some of these other picks are. But we're five picks through. So if you're in the chat, let us know how we're doing as we turn it over to Nate with pick number 6.
So I went back and forth on this one, just because I think this is kind of how it's going to fall, come the end of the month. And with Jalen Carter still sitting there, the Lions really could use some interior defensive line help. But I just think there's way too many questions to really consider taking a risk. And I, as the Lions here, would go with Christian Gonzalez, cornerback.
Nice. I like that.
And there will be some talent in the interior later as well, that they can focus on.
Unless one of my teams takes it.
I want a Gonzalez for the Falcons.
Ooh.
There we go. The first snipe? Is that the first snipe of the show, Trev?
Man. I'm like, dang. I don't know if they absolutely need it.
Oh, maybe Levis or AR might have been the first snipe. Not getting the first snipe of Levis. Go ahead, Trev.
Yeah, that's I'm also interested to see how far Levis falls now. I mean, I know we have a couple teams here that could use a quarterback, but it's just a matter of whether or not they pull the trigger on it. So that's kind of what I'm interested in seeing here. Who's up? Raiders.
That's me. Yeah.
Man.
So this has definitely been a debated pick, and I think as we get through this mock draft, it's going to get harder and harder. These top 5 are the easy ones. It's kind of how I've seen it fallen in most of the ones I've done. But just sitting here at pick 7 for the Raiders, man, there's a couple of candidates, right? I didn't expect Carter to be available. I totally thought you're going to take him with the Lions, and I feel like that's something that he kind of like there's question marks around him. So I feel like that kind of fits the Raiders culture traditionally. So I don't know if that's like, could be a good fit. I also like Witherspoon here, the cornerback, super gritty. I feel like he'd be a good fit there with what they have. And then Will Levis, obviously being one of the quarterbacks that are available that have been getting mocked to the Raiders quite a bit. This one's pretty tough, but I'm going to say that the Raiders go for their QB and take Levis here. So we'll go ahead and place that pick in.
I love it.
Doesn't fall too far.
The big question, I think, Dan, is how far is Jalen Carter's off the field stuff, that 3-4 week stretch there? How much is it going to hurt him,
I think he's top 10. I don't think he makes it past the Eagles if we're looking at, the real draft. I just don't know. I mean, the Falcons, I could absolutely see them being interested in him. I could see him getting taken in the top 5 by Seattle. So, those are all places I've kind of, feel like he would be a good fit. But you just got to make sure that you get those character concerns addressed.
Off-field issues are a positive for the Raiders.
Yeah.
Get him in here.
We're looking for what they want. We're looking for those.
Seattle would be definitely surprising after just re-signing Geno, but yeah, I could see it.
He scares me, man. As a Titans fan, we took Isaiah Wilson a few years ago, another Georgia guy with off-the-field issues, and that pick is haunting Tennessee. He's not even in the league anymore. He didn't make it 2 years in the league, and Tennessee's offensive line is absolute garbage without, that kind of stuff scares me.
Yeah. One thing that's really weird about the Jalen Carter situation, though, is at his position, he's probably the consensus best prospect in the draft, positional value aside. I mean, he's just an absolute monster. So every pick he falls, it just gets a little more tempting for people to just be like, we can figure it out off the field, just because his tape's so crazy.
Right.
But They probably know some things we don't know by this point.
Well, I'm not going to take him with the Falcons. I think his talent's great, but I don't know. If I was the Falcons, I would just be a little weary of the whole situation, as you guys all pointed out. The Falcons could go a lot of different directions. I already mentioned I like Christian Gonzalez, cornerback that got taken. Witherspoon's still sitting there. But they also need defensive line help, which obviously Jalen Carter would play a part of that. But, Luke Van Ness or Nessie? How do you guys say it? Ness. Miles Murphy on the edge. So there's a lot. I feel like this is wide open for the Falcons.
Oh, yeah.
So if I was, being judged on this one, it would probably not come out the right way. I'm gonna go, man. I'm between Van Ness and Miles Murphy. I'll probably end up going with Van Ness, who most of the stuff, it's not on this one, on this PFN mock draft simulator that we're using. Miles Murphy is ahead of him, but most of the stuff that I've read and most of the stuff I've looked at, Lucas has kind of been a little bit ahead of Miles Murphy on the edge. So I'm going to go Lucas Van Ness. Edge, Iowa.
Awesome bull rush.
I've seen him mocked in the top 5. I love that pick at 8.
TT edge rusher.
Lee agreed.
That's two in a row. Look at this.
Oh man.
Yeah.
We're cooking.
You guys are doing well out here. Much better. Notice that no one said good job when I picked AR.
Good job. I like it.
I did. I hooped and hollered. I was happy for it. I would love to see that pick on Thursday night. I would love to see it. Nate, the Bears. You're up.
So I've seen Carter mocked a lot here too, but I just think there's way too many character concerns to seriously contemplate actually drafting him. And as Ben points out there, I also don't like the Van Ness pick either. Just because it seems like this guy basically came out of nowhere, but I'm an IU alum. I watch Big Ten football. Iowa's got great defenses every year, but this guy to me never really stood out. So I just, I'm not a analyst or anything, but I still don't understand why he has started to go up the board. But with the Bears pick, I think they stick with some offense here and pick Paris Johnson Jr.
That's a great
from
pick.
The Ohio State.
Don't do that. I hear enough of that at home.
Nate, as a Bears guy, do you think Braxton Jones stays at left when Paris Johnson comes over, or do you think they swap?
He was pretty serviceable. I'd like to keep him there and see if that can continue. Because to be frankly honest, this year is not really going to be. If they make the playoffs as a wild card, that would just be icing on the cake. But it's just continued, building of the team there because there's just way too many holes moving forward. So just to ensure that Justin Fields has some protection on the line there, that's the pick I would go with.
Yeah, gotcha.
He's my number one tackle. I think he's so versatile. He could play either side. Whatever the Bears decide to do with him, he's going to do well, I think.
I'm uninstalling Twitter if this pick happens. I won't be able to handle Bears fans online.
Hey, you know what, though? We've handled 30-plus years of Packers fans with Favre and Rodgers. So, a year or two, you can handle it a little bit.
I'll be fine.
Love's going to come out week 1 and just, be great all of a sudden and just be this masterful quarterback is what the hell? Seriously.
I literally might stop watching football if that's the case. Literally, I might stop watching football.
All right, Kev. Ben's calling for it. Are you going to give the people
Will
what they
you
want?
oblige?
I think so. I'm looking over here at my team needs. And I see interior offensive and defensive line as some big needs here for the Eagles. I'm going to do it.
Not a running back?
Not a cornerback?
Maybe a corner.
Tough with Spoon sitting there.
Look at Witherspoon, man.
Oh, he's so sick.
I don't
Don't
know.
take him, though.
I really don't trust you guys doing this.
Witherspoon.
Could you imagine?
What about
If
Joey
the draft
Porter?
was actually like this? If the other GMs are all in the room, like, come on, man. You know you want Joey Porter Jr. right here.
That's
He's
a
the
fantasy vibe.
Just all like hanging out in a hotel room. All the GMs were just, there was no fanfare. They were just like sitting there drafting.
They don't call each other. They're just like, "Hey, come here.
Yeah.
Let's talk."
I'm doing it. Full send. Give me Carter, and I'm going to address a few other things later in the draft if I'm the Eagles.
Yeah, great pick.
You're gonna have to.
Ah.
I love that one.
I think Carter to the Eagles makes a lot of sense for Carter himself. Like anytime you get somebody with off the field issues, you want to find a really stable franchise. No offense to the franchises that drafted ahead of, but there's reasons they're in the top 10 drafting, right? The Eagles are here because they made a trade to be here. So for him to fall into a really stable franchise, I think, could only be helpful for him. And not to say he's going to change or not, it's not going to fix anything, but I think somebody made the comment earlier about the Raiders. Like there's a reason the Raiders always end up with the guys with the bad raps because they can't figure it out as a franchise. I think the Eagles have figured that out. And so if Carter does fall here to the Eagles, I think it'd be a really good landing spot for him personally.
Get to hang out with his buddy Jordan Davis too.
Yeah, true.
Oh yeah.
Howie Roseman would be licking his chops if Carter falls.
And to Kobe Dean. Some homies.
Pick 11. I am up, folks. Tennessee's on the clock. For Tennessee's front office, I think this fell almost as perfectly as possible. You've got, and I think I'm going to say this name right. Is it Peter Skoronsky? I think they have Tennessee.
Is he a brother of that Rams wide receiver?
Skoranek.
I was like, because Grandpa was a tackle. I don't know.
They're cousins.
And I think Tennessee's got major needs at wide receiver and offensive line, and then the wild card is quarterback, like everybody talks about. I am glad Will Levis is nowhere to be found. If Anthony Richardson was floating around here, I could see it as a possibility, but Kev ruined that one. So their top two needs.
You have Anthony Richardson at home.
Right. He wasn't the pick, and he's not my pick. I did this today by myself, and I have my pick on the board that I'm going to take, but I got to talk it through. Tennessee had major offensive line issues last year. They've spent the money on guys that were backups that they think can be starters. Andre Dillard from the Eagles came over. They say he's going to be the left tackle. Daniel Brunskill came over. He's going to be the guard. Skoronsky fits the need because they need a left guard. And he may be able to move into tackle long term, right? Like the question is his arm length. However, Tennessee has no receivers. Nobody can name any of them. They all suck. Our best receiver got traded to the Eagles. I'm still mad about it. The Ohio State receiver.
There you go.
Jackson Smith. And how do you say the last part of his name? Because I meant to ask you guys beforehand.
Njigba.
Jackson Smith and Njigba. I am going Tennessee is going to go receiver, try to replace A.J. Brown finally.
All the
Jackson
misdirect.
Smith. However you say his last. I don't even know. Tennessee's going receiver here.
What about Treylon Burks?
Nice.
Damn.
He still has a concussion from the Eagles game last year.
Okay.
He's broken.
That's surprising.
Dang.
I thought that you were going to say Jackson Smith and Jigba, but not for the Titans.
I think as I have the next pick, I think this is the Texans' worst nightmare because I think that was who they wanted. Now they've got their quarterback. We drafted Bryce Young. Does anybody else think Quentin Johnson is good enough to go this high? Because he him or Zay Flowers are your next two. I don't think he's good enough to go this high.
I think he's going to be another Keneal Harry, honestly. Well, I mean, his 40 time and his cone time were not good at all. And the whole thing for Keneal Harry when he came in was like doing contested catches. But as we have seen, I mean, he's
can't do that.
Yeah.
I love Keneal Harry. I don't know what you're talking about.
James, what are your thoughts on Jordan Addison out of USC?
I really like Jordan Addison, but I think he's not this high. I think he's later in the first round. Like, I'm kind of on the same boat. I think I like Zay Flowers and Jordan Addison ahead of Quentin Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
The question is, I think there's one receiver in this draft that I just took with Tennessee that is a possible all pro level type guy, like elite receiver. I don't know. The rest of them got question marks. The Texans need help offensively. They do. Don't forget, John Mechie is going to play this year. He was a first-round draft pick last year, and he got diagnosed. I believe it was Hodgkin's lymphoma and missed all last year.
Yeah.
The same cancer that
Eric Berry
had. The Chiefs' great Eric Berry had. Yes, so he can come back, and I think his plan is to play this year. So I don't forget that. I don't want to reach here. The Texans they're awful. They're awful for a reason. But with head coach D'Amico Ryans coming in, defensive-minded guy, was a stellar defender for them. I like the Texans to go defense here, and I like them to take Miles Murphy out of Clemson.
Nice.
Get their defensive end, get an edge for D'Amico, and address receiver later down the line.
Yep. The Texans have a ton of draft capital.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, I mean, they can draft on necessity and then address those things for sure. They have that flexibility.
That's how I feel. It's almost like a who do you think best player, best fit type thing. And I think with them, they have one of the first picks in the second round. Guys like Zay Flowers, Jordan Addison, I don't think they'll be there, but they could. Or you start getting into the second tier guys. And I think for a team as bad as the Texans are picking number 2 for a reason. They would be number 1, but their former head coach Lovie Smith didn't want him to be because he knew he was getting fired. And I think they'll address receiver round 2 or later after that.
Yeah, I think you're right. If JSN is off the board, they can use pick 33 on a wide receiver. They can also come back into the first round and snag a guy.
Yep.
Especially with pick 33 in their back pocket, they could easily jump back into the first round and get one of those guys that you mentioned towards the end of the first round, so they don't have to wait until day 2. But I think you played that one right. I don't know if it's Miles Murphy, but I think you played it right in the sense of not reaching for one of these other wide receivers who are going to be good, but I don't think they're top 12 good.
Mm-hmm.
Nick,
Listen, guys,
you are on the clock.
Listen, guys. I've been thinking about this all day, and all I wanted for these stupid 2 teams that I'm about to pick forward. Okay. All I've wanted is Broderick Jones for the New York Jets and Peter Skronsky for the New England Patriots. I'm getting both, and it's unbelievable because Jets and Patriots fans love me right now. You guys screwed up. You didn't pick the best tackles in this draft, and I'm getting them for my rivals.
That did fall perfect for you.
You did. Very happy.
Man, I feel bad. I didn't realize they were back to back for you. So now you just have to and you only got 3 picks too. Dang, I'm sorry. Nick.
But I've been thinking about the entire time. I said when someone said Skronsky, I'm like, don't talk about him. He's my guy.
Yeah. I thought about it. I think Tennessee, if he's there, will look very hard there.
Yeah.
Give Derrick Henry another guy to block for him. But that's an elite fall for you right there.
Yeah. Questions around Mekhi Becton too. I know he's trimmed down to like 385 or whatever, but coming back from that injury, putting on a ton of weight, and still you haven't really seen that high level production from him consistently since he got into the league. So I think some insurance there, and then I think it's George Fant at the other tackle, if I'm not mistaken.
They have Dwayne Brown too.
That's right. Yeah. So aging out that way. So yeah that's a good pick. I like Broderick.
I was really wanting him to be available at the back end of the draft for Kansas City, but that was a pipe dream.
No Hendon Hooker here for the Patriots. Go back to the...
Yeah, I was looking at Levis potentially, but obviously he went early. I still think Levis has a possibility of actually going to the Buccaneers, but we'll...
Pats will take like Clayton Tune or something and drum up another three-way quarterback battle.
No, they're all on the Zap train there.
Yeah, Zappy's not dead yet. Right?
He's not, yeah.
So, question though, do you think the Jets are actually going to have that pick though? Or is the stalemate going to resolve itself?
I don't think
they're not going to give up the one. As much as Brian Gutekunst wants it, as much as I want it, I don't think they're going to give up the 13.
I agree.
Yeah. The ceiling on that's got to be 2 2s.
I want 42 and 43.
Will change. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
That'd be nice. 42, 43, 45.
Yeah.
Golly.
That's fun.
Yeah, I'd be happy with that. But with 15, so looking at the board here, this has not gone in my favor in the slightest. I was salivating over JSN, and obviously he's not here. So looking at the board, I think that people would be knocking on Brian Gutekunst's door if he didn't take arguably our biggest need outside of receiver, which is a safety. So while I don't want to pass up on a pass catcher,
Darnell Washington agenda.
I know, but that agenda applies to a trade down situation.
Okay, all right.
As much as I love Darnell Washington, and I am praying and begging that he's a Packer, I don't see it at 15, and I think that unless Adrian Amos comes back, you have to take Brian Branch, and that's who I'm picking for Packers. Like, I don't think he's going to be, an all-pro from the jump, but if he can develop, hopefully Joe Barry doesn't talk to him too much, and just lets him be his own guy. I think Brian Branch has a lot of potential in Green Bay.
I don't know, man. I think they're going to take Stetson Barrett there.
Stetson Barrett.
Made up a guy.
Fitting. That's fitting, yeah.
Stetson Bennett at 15. Oh.
Another year, another first round without a wide receiver for the Packers.
That's okay.
Yeah.
All of our best receivers are like second round on, so whatever.
I mean, to be fair, I think Christian Watson probably should have gone in the first last year.
Yeah.
I think you would have. Like, Green Bay thought about taking him in the first, and they're like, well, doesn't look like he's going to get taken, so we'll take 2 defensive players.
What do you think about tight end here potentially for the Packers?
I do like tight end, and I think if they do go with tight end at 15, sadly, I don't think it's going to be Darnell Washington. I think Michael Mayer is a Packer. He's a Packer through and through. Like, I pushing hard for Darnell Washington, but yeah, Michael Mayer makes too much sense if they go tight end at 15.
This is one of the best tight end drafts we've seen in a little bit.
Yeah,
a long time. Yeah,
through and through,
maybe ever.
And if you guys want to know how hard Michael's pushing for Darnell Washington, you can see the video on our YouTube page at Bite Size Sports.
I also tweet about it all the time.
Shameless plug.
Yeah.
Shameless.
I always get notifications. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, I even like it as a football fan, not as a Vikings fan, but I like the fit.
Yeah.
When Darnell Washington blocks Danielle Hunter next season.
Whoa,
doesn't even let him go pass.
Whoa. He's actually not reporting to team activities, so he might have to block someone else. But
he's not chipping. He's flat out pancaking him.
No.
What about, is Zadarius Smith going to show back up? Does he like the NFC North anymore?
I don't know, man. He might have to go to Detroit and sack Cousins.
Nate, you want him?
Push over
he's not
there.
even on my team, but you can have him.
Yeah, man. He's I don't know. We'll see. Well, we'll talk about Vikings edge maybe a little bit here. The Commanders under new ownership, however, are galloping to the podium because you guys let Devin Witherspoon fall this
Oh my God.
to 16. Kyle Fuller's fine. Benjamin St. Just, Sky Yuma, former Gopher, showed a lot of flashes last year. Big, long, physical corner on the boundary. But Devin Witherspoon you can put just about anywhere. I would have loved Brian Branch to throw into the slot as well. Bobby McCain's gone, who played plenty of slot for him. Cam Curl sinks down every once in a while. But I think Devin Witherspoon really fills a huge need for them in the secondary. I was tempted to just take an off-ball linebacker for shits and giggles because it's the Commanders thing to do, or the Washington thing to do, I should say. I think it goes back that far. But we're going to go Devin Witherspoon. That's a no-brainer, seeing how far he fell.
Biggest slide of the night.
I think so.
In my opinion. I think he's the number one corner on the board.
I think so. And I've got the Steelers at 17 as well. This is one about which I don't have to think too hard either, because we've got Joey Porter Jr. to slip on the black and gold just like his old man, and he fills a huge need for them. Cam Sutton gone in free agency. William Jackson is bouncing around. Kella Witherspoon is still on the roster, I think, and he's fine. But that's a huge need for them. I was very tempted to go O-line here because I'm all about building that picket fence. But we've got pick 32 thanks to Ryan Poles. So it's looking like we'll be able to snag a decent O-lineman there. Obviously, we won't be drafting that tonight, but I think that's probably their mentality with another pick coming up in 15 picks. I think that's best player available. I love Darnell Wright, so that's the only thing that gave me pause. But I gotta do that for the vibes. Joey Porter Jr.
Oh yeah,
I like it.
You love
that's a great pick. That legacy pick.
Legacy pick, man. We got to do it.
That would be fun if it actually happened on draft night.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That would be really cool. I do agree.
Is Joey Porter Sr. still a coach for the Steelers? I thought he was for a little while, but maybe he's not with the organization anymore.
I don't think so. But if he is, that's even doper.
Makes even more sense.
Makes even more sense. just picture like the there's like a video of like a baseball coach who, like, the difference between when he hits grounders to the other kids to when it's his son. Just picture Joey Porter Sr. being like, "All right, good rep, Alex Highsmith. Good rep. Hey, nice job, Spoon. Joey, what are you doing? Get
the Joey Porter Sr.
It's so
a
true.
coach in the XFL. He's not a head coach.
Yeah.
Oh,
I just
there we go.
he stopped working for the
Gotcha.
Steelers in 2019.
Yeah, he's with the San Antonio Brahmas.
Not even the best XFL team.
Him and Heinz Ward are working together.
Oh, that's
Oh, that makes sense.
Oh, that's
They have
That sounds about right.
I think Joey Porter Sr. actually might be their defensive coordinator. I could be wrong.
That's electric.
Yeah, I did watch a Brahmas game, and they were talking about how basically they brought the Steeler way to San Antonio.
That's the right way to
Okay.
bring anywhere.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nate at 18 with the
Well, this
Detroit
worked.
Lions.
This worked out perfectly for Detroit. But before I get into this pick, I saw a rumor today about if Jalen Carter fell far enough down to 9 that the Steelers were considering trading up for him. Don't know how legit that is, but as a Bears fan, I'd be pretty excited about that. But anyway, this sets up easy, and the Lions select Brian Brees from Clemson.
Nice.
Brees.
Brian Brees.
Yeah, I like that pick. They were getting gashed last year in the run game. He's not a great run defender, but they need bodies in there. And there you go.
Finally came true.
Him and Murphy actually had a lot
They're
better
off the board.
2021 tape than 2022 when Brett Venables was still the DC. So he might be able to get back to that with some NFL coaching. I like that one.
What a pick coming up now, huh?
Yeah. Tampa Bay. I'll tell you
brings
what,
it to
on
me.
You got some advice
PFF
in the
earlier, the Bucks offered me the 19. What was it? Mike Evans and Devin White for the 4. I about took that trade.
Oh wow!
What?
That's what I said. I said, except I never clicked so hard in my life.
Dude, they throw Mike Evans around in this simulation for some reason.
Yeah, they love.
I was like,
giving
who
away
made
Mike
this
Evans.
Madden?
Yeah, I
They
think
would
it's-
never.
that's insane.
I did see. So Devin White has requested a trade. Is that?
Yes.
Is that
I heard
right?
that, yeah.
He's looking for
Yeah.
18 to 20 million a year.
Give it to him, dude. I just can't stop thinking about the Super Bowl, and Devin White was all over the field, and the Chiefs had absolutely nothing to play for at that point. Like he absolutely destroyed them. He's so good. And what is he at the end of his rookie contract now?
Yep.
He's
So still
I think
super
he got-
young.
He's in his 5th
Fifth
year
year.
option, right?
yeah, I think so.
Man.
Yeah, it was year 2, I think, that he did all that in the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
for him.
he hasn't been that level since then, but he's young enough to where if he finds that coach that can reignite what he was in that Super Bowl, I think he can go back to what he used to be.
Tap back into it,
Yeah.
Well, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers need to go offense. Most will tell you they need to go quarterback with Hendon Hooker, but they also need to go offensive line. I mean, they just need some help on the offensive line here. But just for fun and just so we can say we did a mock draft with 5 quarterbacks going in the first round, I'll give them Hendon Hooker to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
No, not my Baker Mayfield agenda.
Yeah, that's right.
Had to dig deep there.
Yeah, 69 on here.
This is playing out perfectly for the
Nice.
contending team
Nice.
sitting on the back end of round 1 right now. 5
That's why I
quarterbacks
did.
going.
Just keep pushing him down, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I
Pushing all
see
these
what's going
tackles
on
down.
here. I
No.
see what's going on here.
The
I don't
Chiefs,
know.
the Bills, the Bengals, the Cowboys, they're all stoked right now that he's off the board.
Do you think Hooker will actually go in the first round? I mean, on it, like, I
No.
think if he goes, it's going to be Tampa Bay.
It's got to be late. Yeah, I think it's a team maybe trading down.
Yeah.
Like,
I
There's a
personally don't
chance-
think he should, but yeah, he might. The answer might be different if I think he will.
I mean, but Tampa Bay has. You can't go in with expecting your quarterback for the whole season to be Baker Mayfield.
you can't.
What does the chat think about Hooker in the first? Let us know.
Hooker in the first.
I could see
I
him
could
like
see
29.
Seattle taking him too. Honestly.
Ooh.
At 20.
I've got a hot take about Hooker, and that is Hooker will be the best.
That's a fun sentence.
Yes. He just polarized that.
It is a fun sentence.
Flip it.
Hooker will be the
What was
best.
it though, Nate?
Hooker will be the best quarterback in this draft.
All right. Hot
that was
take.
a Old.
Why?
Hot take.
You got to give us a reason why.
Intuition.
Okay.
Perfect. That's
Don't
all
That
worry.
and Knoxville, Tennessee. Those are the only 2 things you need.
He was having a heck of a season before he tore his ACL, though.
Yeah,
Don't like he was stellar.
Tennessee was well on their way to the playoff.
That's true. Yeah, they were rocking and rolling.
So a couple weeks ago, I traded down from the 4 and took Hooker at 35, and PFF gave me an F for that draft. So
Dang.
tells you how they feel about Hooker.
Yeah, there you go.
I see Josh in here. I was going to ask you, John, if you thought at 23 if the Vikings would think about it.
No, my pitchfork would be out.
Therefore, they will not think about it.
I'd be storming the capital of Minnesota.
They know better now.
Yeah.
Mall of America.
Yeah, no,
Put your finger in their chest.
It'd be a bad Thursday night for me. So, No.
Well, with 20, I'm not taking Hendon Hooker. So at least he's not going here. The guy I want to pick, I don't even see high on this board. Want to find Jalen Hyatt for me?
Yeah.
There he is.
There he is.
There he is. Okay. So yeah, I like Jalen Hyatt a lot for Seattle. Tyler Lockett's getting up there a little bit. He's kind of turned his game into just being like a real good, like short possession guy. Because whenever he catches the ball now, fall to the ground. Like all season last season, that was like his thing. If he had an opportunity to catch the ball, still gain yardage. It's not like he's just catching it and falling immediately, but he's getting up there. He's protecting his body, which is smart. But Seattle, if they, they're in win now mode with Geno Smith, which is a wild sentence to say in the year 2023.
It's another fun one.
So yeah, Jalen Hyatt, I think his route tree isn't spectacular. It's not all that impressive, but he can just straight up get open. And with Geno leading the league in completion percentage, I think that's what it was. You have a guy that's open, Geno's going to hit him, hopefully, if he continues to be new Geno Smith.
I like that pick.
When I just read that little thing quick. When did he run a verified 4.31? It was a 4.4 flat at the combine. Was that a pro day or something? Does anyone know anything about that?
I didn't see anything about that. Maybe it was his pro day.
But Trevor just popped up the thing. Yeah, I didn't see that either because a lot of people were underwhelmed with the 4.4.
Mm-hmm.
But whatever. All right. I won't. Won't get too into it. That's fine. We'll see.
Sorry.
That's funny.
Well, I screwed up and
Metcalf.
I hit that video and it started playing a YouTube video. I thought it was going to be a video of the guy, like his, I don't know, like some highlights.
Like a highlight video, yeah.
Yeah.
It was not. So here I am now resetting the draft. So
Okay.
At 21 is going to be the Los Angeles Chargers. And Dan, I know you're really good at filling some time. So fill away.
If there's anybody.
Do you need all the picks? I've been writing them down.
Oh yeah,
There, oh,
Yeah.
look at that.
excellent.
There goes my.
I got the first two.
Clutch.
Let me finish typing these out because I assume that's what.
This will be great. This will be great for the audio listeners. Just a
There
nice
you go.
little recap, top 20 recap here.
This happened to Josh and I on we were live streaming a podcast to Twitter and doing this. We were doing PFN and somehow it like reset on us too. And we were like, okay, guys. We're gonna
So I think that happened to us as well, dude.
Dude, it probably did. It's really touchy, this one.
Yeah.
Oh man,
Technology, man. It's what happens.
that's what you get for the free one, right? It's
Right.
Right, us peasants.
Dan, hit the chat with the recap here. Not me. Tell the chat, recap.
I got
There we
you.
go.
So where we're at, pick 1, we got CJ Stroud. Number 2, we got Bryce Young. At 3, you ready?
Oh yeah, I got it.
Will Anderson, Anthony Richardson at 4.
That's right.
What's up? That's right.
That's right.
Tell him. Tyree Wilson at 5. Christian Gonzalez at 6. Will Levis at 7. Lucas Van Ness at 8. Paris Johnson Jr. at 9. Jalen Carter slips to 10. JSN at 11.
Hang on.
Miles Murphy at 12.
Hang on. Who'd the Bears take?
Can't click that fast.
Well, it
Bears pick.
once you click it, and then takes a second.
Paris
And then
Johnson Jr.
There we go. Jalen Carter.
Jalen
Titans.
Carter to the Eagles.
JSN.
Titans got JSN.
All right.
Miles Murphy. The first of the Clemson boys.
Let's go.
Broderick Jones.
Back-to-back tackles for the East.
Yeah. Then Skoronski. Brian Branch. And then Devon Witherspoon, do not know how he made it to that point, but he slips
He
to
might
the
go
Commanders.
6.
Yeah. Joey Porter Jr. to the Steelers, legacy pick. Brees after him. Hendon Hooker. And then his teammate, Jalen Hyatt.
I didn't have back-to-back Tennessee guys there.
Yeah. And if you're ready for this Chargers pick, I already know where I'm going.
It should be noted this would be the Dolphins pick. However, they're cheaters and they don't have it.
Yes, that is worth noting.
Yes, the
looters.
Absolutely.
So any mock that I've done, I've seen an insane run of wide receivers start right about at this time, and all of these teams here, you'll notice that we're starting into playoff territory, right? These are all contenders. They're going to carry that over into next year, most likely. Aside from the Dolphins, maybe they're cheaters. they're the missing one on this list. But I'm going to go with a wide receiver here. I think it makes a lot of sense for the Chargers to take another pass catcher. Keenan Allen's on his way out the door. He almost got cut this year, decided to take a pay cut to stay. Mike Williams, definitely an outside kind of guy, so that's going to influence where I go. I think there's a really good chance that the Chargers do take a tight end here, especially since all of the top guys are available on the board. You look at Kincaid, you look at Meyer out of Notre Dame. I mean, those guys are the top two, obviously, with Darnell Washington being one of my favorites out of the tight end class as well. But I just don't see them taking tight end here when they've got one of their receivers making their way out the door. Williams, big, tall, outside guy, Mike Williams is. So I think they take a slot man, someone that Herbert can dump the ball up to quite a bit, and I think that's Zay Flowers out of Boston College. He's one of the most refined route runners in the draft. I mean, outside of JSN, I think he's like the number 2 guy. Quentin Johnson slipped a little bit in a lot of the mocks and things that I've been seeing lately. So I really like Zay Flowers to be that slot man for Los Angeles.
I like that a lot. I have personally, I have Zay over probably Addison and Johnson. I've seen him in a lot of these. So yeah, it's kind of weird to see him all the way down at 33 on here.
They sniped us, Josh. Old Dan sniped us.
Oh, snipe number 2. Let's go.
Just makes a ton of sense for him.
Yeah, no, that's a great Chargers pick. I like that one. Who we got? Nate at 22?
Nate, yeah, you got the Ravens at 22.
Nate's got the Ravens. Ruh-roh.
Nate, you're muted.
You're muted, bud.
I just noticed he was talking.
My bad.
Oh, man.
I was making a terrible joke that the Ravens were going to complete their tight end supremacy by drafting Darnell Washington, but for real, no, I think they'd be stupid not to pick Jordan Addison at this point, especially to get Lamar some more help. And, who knows? I mean, I think that offense is going to open up a little bit more with the fact that Greg Roman is no longer existing in Baltimore. So it makes sense to do receiver at this point, and between Addison and Johnson's way down the board.
Pairing Odell with the newcomer. I like it.
Yeah, I think Addison still comes in and takes over the 1. Odell, I don't know if he's going to be a 1 anymore.
I don't know. I mean, I'm very pro Rashad Bateman if he can stay.
Yeah.
Got you, Mom.
I like Bateman. I don't know if Bateman can be the 1. I think Bateman is a really solid wide receiver, but the times that he's had the chance to, it's just been him. He hasn't really flourished. Now, obviously, injury kind of hurt that last year, but I don't know. I think that adding Addison to that group really makes him a pretty strong wide receiver core, and probably the best that if Lamar goes back, which I assume he will, that probably the best that Lamar would have in his career. Now, whether or not he can actually throw it to him or not is a different story.
Hey.
Hey, he's money over the middle.
Running over the middle.
There you go.
All right, here we go. Is it time to ship Dalvin Cook out the door?
Is Will Levis gone?
Somehow, yeah.
Somehow he didn't make it.
No, I like where we're sitting right here. A lot of Vikings faithful is clamoring for a wide receiver too, which is not that big of a need. I think they're going to go to a lot of heavier personnel this year. With like Nate just mentioned, we got Josh Oliver over from Baltimore to play tight end too. Re-signed the fullback CJ Ham. So I'm going to go cornerback here. And my favorite of the remaining, of the kind of the big three sitting here right now is Deonte Banks out of Maryland. Especially
Man.
the Brian Flores defense. I mean, this guy is a press monster. He is just some nasty press reps. And, I pipe dream scenarios actually like a Brian Branch, just a true slot guy. But the big time cornerback they picked up in free agency is Byron Murphy, who has a ton of slot flexibility, can shadow to the boundary too. But I think if you grab Deonte Banks, Byron Murphy's in the slot on the nickel, and then you've got guys like Andrew Booth and Caleb Evans who can play the boundary as well. And all of a sudden, I think that secondary is actually looking pretty decent. And, this is a guy who I think Brian Flores is going to love to be able to just cut loose on the outside and let him really stick in tight man coverage. So I like Deonte Banks. Keely Ringo's a little grabby for me. He might have to wear the boxing gloves in training camp. Cam Smith's fine. I just like the upside in those press man encounters with Deonte Banks out of Maryland.
What do you guys think about Emmanuel Forbes out of Mississippi State?
Yeah, he's a stud.
He's a stud. Really light, really wiry frame, sick ball skills.
Yeah.
But I think he's probably a top of round 2 kind of guy still.
He's a ball hawk, man.
He's only 166, while Banks is at 197, nearly at 200. So, yeah.
Most pick sixes in NCAA history. 3 pick sixes this year. Forbes is a playmaker for sure.
Yeah.
But he's probably in this. He's probably close to in this tier. I could see teams taking him over Ringo or Smith. Potentially.
I didn't see him on the list, so I was like, I think it's worth at least noting that he's out there.
Yeah, that's a good call. Where is he at? Jeez.
He's down there, I guess.
DJ Turner's fine. Whoa. Okay, 60?
That's ridiculous.
Sheesh. Yeah,
That feels
DJ
really
Turner's
low.
still out there too.
Feels really
Like
low.
you mentioned Ringo, I like Forbes and maybe even DJ Turner over Ringo too.
Yeah, man. He's got all the physical tools, but like I mentioned, I just don't think he's as refined as a lot of these guys, and I think he's gonna get smacked in the face in the NFL.
Yeah. They'll beef him up.
Yeah. The Jaguars.
James, you're back on.
Jacksonville at 24, my final pick. Team that stunned Tennessee, the final game of the season. Nobody expected Jacksonville to beat Tennessee, obviously.
Ahem.
I refuse to acknowledge whoever's talking right now. I've never heard
Someone predicted it 5 weeks before it happened, but
who is
let's
this
not
man?
talk about that.
Definitely not his birthday, I'll tell you that.
Total upset. Total upset.
I hate it. Kev did predict it, and it just makes me
It was always the Jags, baby.
what a mess. What a mess. Oh, it's interesting. I could see the Jags going a lot of way. They lost Jawan Taylor to Kansas City. Their right offensive tackle for a $80 million contract. Lost outside linebacker Arden Key to Tennessee. They need offensive line. The defense is terrible. I think it's got to be a defensive pick. They were 25th in sacks last year. I thought it was going to be Deonte Banks. I thought he was going to fall there. He got sniped right out from underneath me. I've got this pick down to Nolan Smith out of Georgia or Will McDonald out of Iowa State. They need pass rushing help. And I think I lean towards Nolan Smith. I think I'm going to go Nolan Smith here for Jacksonville. I weirdly, if the receivers don't like the run of receivers happened, if one of like Flowers or Addison falls, I could see them doing something really weird and drafting a receiver. And then all of a sudden the receiving room is wild. You know, they've got Christian Kirk, 1,100 yards last year coming back. Zay Jones coming back. They've got, I'm drawing a complete blank. Somebody that's a NFC fan. Help me. Calvin Ridley. Yeah, that guy. Traded for Calvin Ridley coming in. Evan Ingram's back on a year deal. Like maybe they get weird, go tight, one of the top tight ends that are still floating around. But they don't need a running back. Bijan Johnson's going to go here soon, but they don't need one. They got Travis Etienne. I'm going Nolan Smith, edge rusher out of Georgia to help their defense out.
Good call.
I've seen Smith mocked as high as the Falcons at 8. So I had actually about 2 picks ago, I was just looking at him about, man, this is a guy that's kind of just falling down our board right now.
Yep.
So that's a sharp pick.
Well, we don't have a sound bite for this, but that would be snipe number 4 for those of you keeping track at home. And I am scrambling now because I actually went Nolan Smith. I was surprised how frequently he fell to the Giants in mocks, and based on the needs that I used via PFF, the Giants kind of in an awkward position a lot of times here where there's not a lot that I love that fits their needs. For instance, they need a wide receiver. Am I going to go Quentin Johnson here? I'm not in love with that pick, but yeah, so Nolan Smith was a situation where, in my opinion, I felt it was sort of best available and also kind of could fit a position need, although he's an edge rusher and he did play some outside linebacker. So, you know, they have linebacker as one of their needs. So I'm really torn here on where to go. It's got me looking over at honestly, I see Simpson over there at Clemson, not somebody who came across my boards in this position. I'm really torn here, guys. I'm not sure what to do. I am thinking about just going wide receiver here because that's all I've got. So I guess give me Quentin Johnson. I don't love it. Feel free if anyone has some
I like it.
Something to throw in here. If anybody in chat is a Giants fan, wants to talk me out of it, but no, I'm going to go with this.
They got to find receivers somewhere, man. Like,
yeah.
I think you almost have to. I think you're right.
You paid Daniel Jones all that money. You got to help him out a little bit.
What are the rest of the picks the Giants have in the draft? I don't know what their full selection looks like, but I think, there's a chance they could take someone in the second if they're going wide receiver later, if they want to trade back. I foresee
57 is next.
Yeah, they have 57.
57. Yeah, there's some like second and third tier guys that could be available by then, but like I think it's more likely. I'm not knocking the Johnston pick by any means because they obviously need a wide receiver, but I think it's more likely. Obviously, we're not doing any trades, but they might trade back out of the first round here.
Yep.
It just feels like most of the guys that they need are gone already, and they can address that in the second round while picking up some extra capital and hitting some other holes. So,
yeah, I agree with that. Like I said, most of the times when I did this mock, for whatever reason, Nolan Smith kept falling. And so I ended up taking him and then addressing wide receiver or sometimes safety in the second round was what I was doing when I was mocking for this. Now, the Cowboys, I've done this one a multitude of ways. And let's see, on my list, I've got, interior, they need something on the interior defensive line. They got some linebacker needs. They've also got, I'm torn on running back is the number one list under needs on PFF here for the Cowboys. So I really like Tony Pollard. I do. But
Kev, don't do this to me, man.
I'm just watching Nick sweat.
I know, that's what I'm thinking about. He's fun with that.
He's sweating.
I'm so sorry. I think we're going to have snipe number 5. It just seems like a great pick, both for the fanhood and for helping out on the offensive end. Now, there are some other places the Cowboys need to address, so I won't be surprised if they don't do this, but give me Bijan Robinson. Sorry, Nick.
He's off the board.
Let's go.
Throwing all my shit away.
Dynasty shareholders with Tony Pollard stock are crying.
Yeah.
That would be
They're crying.
wild. Would give him more time to get healthy too.
The one thing I wanted to mention when you guys talk about the Giants, that this is the guy I think people would come for. Like if the Giants are willing to move back, everybody's going to come up to get Bijan Robinson in this case. That's who I think's coming.
And the Giants will be happy.
I would be happy that it's not the Bills. As a Tony Pollard fan and a fantasy football guy, I hate that it's the Cowboys.
Heartbreaking, right?
But yeah, I think that if Bijan is on the board, it really any time after the Chargers, who, depending on what Eckler does, could be a landing spot for him. Anytime after that, I think anyone who is like any teams who are interested in him are going to start trying to make that trade so they can go get him.
Yeah, it's a Jerry pick, Lee.
That's what I'm saying.
You got to think about it, because I was looking this entire time after the Bucks pick. I was saying, like, could I possibly get Bijan? And I'm looking at, like, the Seahawks, they have it back. The Chargers got Eckler. Baltimore's got it back. Or Lamar. Dalvin Cook, Travis Etienne, Saquon Barkley, Tony Pollard. I was like, oh my God, this might actually happen. Obviously it didn't, but I mean, I'm saying, like, if he doesn't go in the top 20, like, he might actually fall to 26, 27, 28 just because of all those guys or all those teams already having running backs.
I've seen plenty of mocks with him fall into the Chiefs.
Yeah.
No,
I will throw my keyboard out.
I would actually be hyped on that.
I guess
I will quit forever.
ESPN's top 100 guys, they have Bijan Robinson number 2.
Right.
That was the list I printed off to use here today. He's number 2 on this list. He's right there, boys.
That's the weight of positional value.
Oh, look at that.
Now it's a positional value. It doesn't make sense, but it's yeah.
Yeah. I know we were talking about, like, the Giants, trading back, or I think they would be thrilled if the Bills offered them a trade to let them steal Bijan from the Cowboys. I think that would make all the sense in the world to me if the Giants open that door up for the Bills to come up to 25 and take them.
Yeah.
I think there's outside of maybe the Saints, I don't think they can afford it. But I think any of these teams, the Bills, the Bengals, the Eagles, and if you want to throw the Chiefs in there, great. But all of these teams could absolutely make that trade. With the Giants.
Ooh.
And so I think if Robinson's there, I think the Giants are just going to see which team wants him more.
Robinson and Philly would just be disgusting. Behind that offensive line.
Right?
Forget about it.
Interesting.
I mean, are we sure the Phillies not going to take him at 10? I don't think they will, but
I mean, I think if Philly's going to want Bijan, they're going to have to take him at 10. Personally,
yeah.
Well, maybe they want him
or trade up,
and then they're like, "Oh hell, he's still there at 25. Okay, let's go get him now."
Right.
Yeah, include the 30 in that.
Yeah. Because all of those teams, as great as they are, they're all short on the running back side. And the Bengals now, Joe Mixon is off the field issues. Plus, he's getting older, so now they're in the running back mix. The Bills have Singletary's never really panned out. The Chiefs are running out a 7th round.
Yeah.
Damian Harris is going to be fine, but he's no Bijan Robinson. No. I truly believe that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's room for him in like 26 of the running back rooms. It feels like.
Yeah.
For
sure. Just the way committees are these days, like there's very few. Workhorse backs that would preclude you from taking Bijan if he's there at a reasonable.
I can name one team that would refuse to take him. They only hand the ball to one man and one man only.
What if they trade him, James? What if they trade him?
That's
what if Derrick Henry goes to Philly?
Is he even standing upright still?
Oh yeah, go look at his off-season workouts. He's still there, boys. Now, that offensive line, they got to find a
Is
guard.
he still like what does he do with like chains? He just has like weights
Oh,
hanging from like chains, like walks like 10 miles or something.
Yeah,
Malik
all of his
Willis
workouts are
actually
chains.
hangs to the chains, and he, benches.
Oh right. Yeah. He does push-ups with him.
Malik forgot how to like hand the ball to him. He didn't even know what he was doing out there.
Malik puts his throwing arm stretch bands just around Derrick Henry, and Derrick Henry doesn't move.
Yeah.
It's teamwork, boys. It's teamwork.
Teamwork makes the dream work.
All right, Nick. Now you've been sniped. The dream of Bijan Robinson is dead. Where are the Bills going to go?
Yeah, so obviously it was either Bijan or Nolan Smith, but there's a third guy that I'm just absolutely in love with, and he comes from Florida, and his name is Cyrus Torrance, and I just love him. I'll take him for sure.
Nice.
I think that he has I mean, we had no O-line at all last season. Roger Saffold didn't work out at all. Mitch Morse's had his problems. Hopefully these guys come back and, turn it around a little bit. But Torrance is just an absolute stud, 6'5", 330. He when he transferred to the SEC, he was completely dominant, And
Where'd he come from?
He came from Louisiana.
Okay, yep.
Yeah.
Oh, he came with him then.
Yeah, and he's been just dominant everywhere he's been. So I feel like if he comes to Buffalo, he could really help us out.
Yeah, I like the guard pick there.
Good pick. It's a great pick. One of the
You
better
guys made me
interior
do that.
guys in this draft.
Yeah,
you guys made me do it. I'm hearing Lee in the chat.
Yeah.
I'm hearing him. But Lael Collins coming off a big injury. Jonah Williams wants out. Jonah Williams should have stayed at guard. Jonah Williams can leave if he wants to. Joey Burrow was sacked 41 times last year, tied for 6th most in the league. Lael Collins was a left guard at LSU coming out undrafted. Started at left guard for the Cowboys before became a need at right tackle. So I'm going to go Darnell Wright
Oh,
out of Tennessee.
good pick.
He is just an absolute mauler, and a straight up wall at right tackle. He has really good tape against Will Anderson. And I think he's just too good to pass up here when, big money going to Lael Collins, sure. But coming off that injury, he's not going to be there week 1. And again, he's got guard flexibility. If you're okay with the allocation of resources there, moving him into guard, and you can convince him to do that, I think you go for it. If you can't, I think you might have a long-term upgrade either way with Darnell Wright here. And Orlando Brown on the other side. I mean, that outside zone and that power run to either side is going to be just nasty. And I think you just have to keep reinvesting in protecting Joe Burrow. If Hooker was there, there's a big need at quarterback. But no, I'm just kidding. But you've got to do everything you can to keep that guy upright, and I think they're going to do that there. Kincaid would be nice. Mayer would be nice. They just grabbed Irv Smith out of free agency from the Vikings, who couldn't catch COVID, but he might figure something out over there. And I think you can also find one of those guys later. It's a really deep tight end class, but I think Wright and Anton Harrison are still in that top tier of tackles, and they're probably having a tough time passing up on that.
I think though, if he were to go to the Bengals, he'd need to watch out for some podcast hosts, or just learn not to respond. DM somebody.
Dude, yeah. Is that why he's falling on your guys' board? Is that why he fell?
Nah.
No, I didn't even think about that.
No, I like it. That's good energy.
Day. Good pick there. I have the 29th pick for the New Orleans Saints.
Ooh. Yep.
I'm gonna finally bust into the position we haven't busted into quite yet.
Okay.
But before I get there, there's one guy that you all talk about on Necessary Roughness quite a bit, and I can't say his name for the life of me. John, I'm pretty sure you nail it every time. And that's this cat out of Northwestern.
Out of Baware.
Yeah,
That's our boy. That's our boy.
Yeah.
Nice.
Actually, a guy I actually was looking at quite a bit for the Saints. They do need a little bit of edge. And from what I've learned from you all is this guy can kind of play all over the place and is pretty talented, and you can utilize him in most defenses. But I am actually going to go Dalton Kincaid out of Utah, tight end for the New Orleans Saints. Finally get a tight end off the board here. 8 touchdowns over in each season of the last 2 seasons, 21% target share there in Utah last year. This kid, I think, is going to have a chance to be a pretty solid tight end in the league. I don't think he's going to be great in year 1, might even not even be great in year 2, but give him 3 to 5 years, and I think this guy is going to be a pretty solid tight end in the league.
Yeah, I like Mayer, but I think he's tight end 1 as well.
You like Mayer over Kincaid?
No, I like Kincaid over him a little bit. Mayer's good too, but I think Kincaid's tight end 1 by a hair.
Yeah, I think Washington is more just because of his size. I love watching his highlights. Dan and I pull up some highlights on a show a couple weeks ago just because he's so huge. But I think when we actually talk tight ends and pass routes and pass catching, I think it's these 2 guys, Mayer and Kincaid.
He's like the only guy sled drill who anybody has ever watched more than once.
Cared about.
Yeah, or cared about. Yeah.
Kev, the Eagles, with 2 picks left here with the Eagles and Chiefs.
Well, as much as I'd like to take my favorite tight end in this draft, Michael Mayer, who, for my money, and it has nothing to do with my lifetime as a Notre Dame fan, completely outside of that, I think Michael Mayer will be the greatest tight end in this draft class. But, that's just me being a biased Indiana boy. But, all right, Philadelphia Eagles. I'm looking at the defensive interior here. I'm seeing 2 names. I'm seeing Kalijah Cansey and Mazzie Smith. I'm kind of surprised. Maybe, guys, check me on this. I've seen Cansey go pretty high in some of these mock drafts. The one that I did on the side had him going to Houston at 12. So while in most drafts I have taken Mazzie in this position, that's because Cansey hasn't been available. And I'm going to go ahead and take Cansey here with the Eagles at 30.
Nice.
I think Cansey too in that Philadelphia front could be an early down 4-3 defensive end.
Yep.
I think he's twitched up enough to set the edge and rush off of it. And when you've got, the Eagles always have such a deep rotation of pass rushers and defensive linemen in general. Jordan Davis is probably coming off the field on 3rd down, and Cansey kicks inside. Like in an even front, I think Cansey could be actually a pretty sick 5 technique.
Yeah, it's interesting because as I pull up the snaps by alignment, he did take some snaps on the outside each of the last 3 years. So, definitely capable of that. So, yeah, lock that one in for me.
It's pretty solid. I guess that leaves the last pick in the draft for the defending Super Bowl champions. That's how that works, right? Usually.
Do we need to play it again?
I think we might have to, but should we spare them or what?
Please.
There's a lot of sitting here.
Just so you're aware, I'm going to be obnoxious when the Bears win and play.
That's okay.
Just so you guys are aware, as Nate's oldest friend, he's going to be obnoxious no matter what happens. Takes one to know one.
Kev, did you say, or Trev, did you say that you're going to be at this draft, by the way?
Yeah, I'm going down Friday. Dan, are you going down?
I'll be there Thursday.
That's me.
Nice. I should go Thursday. I should go Thursday, honestly, but I'm taking my oldest. He's 7. I'm taking him out of school, and we're going down Friday during the day, and they got stuff going on like starting at 10 a.m. Like all sorts of stuff going on. So we're gonna be down there all day.
That's so tight.
It's going to be sick. They actually offered like season ticket holders a Saturday early entry package, but I don't know if I'm going to make my way out there for a second day. It's probably going to be crazy downtown.
Yeah.
But so I can cut the suspense from you guys. There's a couple of guys I'm looking at, right? I didn't expect Mayer to be available here. Travis Kelce's not going to be performing at his top level forever. I think that is what's that?
Noah Gray.
Hey, we're still developing the Duke boy. Okay, we'll see if it pans out. But he actually showed some flashes this year that made me pretty optimistic. But Mayer seems like there's so much value in that pick. And I really want to take it, but I know what Brett Veach does, and he drafts more on necessity than, the value of some other picks that might be out there. And I think we have such a greater need for offensive tackle and for edge rusher or defensive line than we do for tight end, especially with how deep our tight end room is in Kansas City. It's obviously Noah Gray, Travis Kelce, but they also brought Blake Bell back, and they still have Jody Fortson. So there's a lot of talent in that room right now and a lot of veteran presence there too. So while I think it would be a good situation for Mayer to end up in Kansas City, and if we took him, I wouldn't be upset at all. I'm going to have to divert. I don't think Mayer leaves the first round in an actual mock draft. This is probably one of the bigger sliders as well. But I'm looking at edge. I like Jones out of Ohio State, the Ohio State University. As a potential offensive tackle for us, 6'8", he's a monster. But I'm going to go with the edge rusher out of Kansas State and bring the Kansas City boy home, Felix Anadike Zoma.
All right.
Nice.
He's got great bend. He's phenomenal out in Kansas State. I think he's going to be a really good pro, and he might be perfect for our system and the way that we do our defense. So put him next to Chris Jones, Karlaftis on the other side, and we're going to have a nice future for him.
Will Anderson.
Apparently, full results. All right.
There you go.
What the heck did I do?
Will Anderson. That's it.
There he is.
This is the only relevant pick, apparently.
Nice. Well, that wraps up the first round. Go ahead, Nate.
I wasn't going to say anything. Oh, wait.
All right. Well, I have a couple questions. We got to break this thing down a little bit here now. If you're in the chat, I want to know from you all. What do you think? What was your favorite pick? I mean, I know there was a lot of like normal. What was your favorite pick of all of them? If you remember them, we're not going to run through them all once again. But what was your favorite pick from our mock draft? And Nate, I'm going to start with you here. What team do you think improves the most from our mock draft?
The Lions, honestly, because they're going to get 2 positions of need with 2 high-quality players. I mean, I know there will be some questions with Brees, but even in reality, even if they end up getting Carter, and another corner later, I mean, I think they're going to be set one way or another.
Yeah, they could go Carter at 6 and then Banks at 18, just looking at some of the guys that we had here. But
Lee.
They should be set up either way, honestly. Titans.
Lee.
Props to Nate for picking the Lions. Hey, Nate, who picked those Lions picks, by the way?
Yeah, that's right.
I don't know. Somebody did.
I don't know if the Titans actually have the stones to take another wide receiver.
Have you seen their wide receiver room?
Yeah, but that's just like it. I feel like there is a little bit of ego to say, like, I don't want to have to pick another wide receiver because I just traded away the best one and drafted one last year. Like,
The one thing is, it's a different GM now. Don't forget that, Trev.
That's all right.
Because the guy that John Robinson, the guy that thought
he got ran out of town.
Good, he got ran out right after AJ Brown ran Tennessee off the field.
And what do some people do when they know they've been replaced? They're replacing a specific person. They go out and they're like, "Well, I'm not going to make that mistake." So I could see it. I could see like, yeah, let's go get us a wide receiver.
I could see him trading down too, which would make me mad. I hate that, but
I don't know.
It's the Ballard special.
Give me the receiver. Do it.
The Titans just need to throw more to Nick Westbrook, is what my opinion is.
Throw more to Westbrook, is that what you said? What?
Nick Westbrook.
Westbrook.
No, oh my God, I can't believe they re-signed him. It makes me sick.
Yeah, but if they draft Jackson Smith and Jigma, then they're going to have a JSN, an NWI. They're just going to be rolling out all the.
Hopefully, they push NWI right off the team.
Oh, they'll have a law firm. Yeah,
that's right.
Exactly.
God.
All the dash.
And Jarvis Green Ellis. What a terrible.
Yes.
Oh man, John, I'm going to push it to you. What's your thoughts? What team improved the most from our mock draft?
Dan, Trevor, you guys could have guessed. It's the LA Chargers picking up Zay Flowers.
You're going to have to change colors soon. You're going to have to move off of being this whole Vikings thing.
I love the AFC.
Being a Chargers creator where you belong.
AFC Vikings, man. AFC Vikings. Honestly though, I think just from a, because there's a lot of good picks, a lot of needs addressed. I just think a pick like Zay Flowers just raises their floor a lot. Like they could have gone with a lot of other positions. They could have gone Bijan with Austin Eckler getting a little fussy. But I think just having a solid third option if your top two are healthy, who I think has a pretty high ceiling to be, really high end number 2 receiver down the road. Not really a true X, but the way Kellen Moore might be able to use a guy like this, I think you finally got a dynamic receiver you can use in the screen game. I think that opens up a lot of things for you. A guy who can make somebody miss after the catch, which you don't really have in Keenan Allen anymore, and you never had with Mike Williams. He's going to jump and fall if he's catching any ball at all. So I just think this makes the biggest improvement on a need for them, and just like I said, just kind of raises their floor a little bit more than some other picks. A lot of great fits all around, but I think this is just such a necessary pick for a team like that that's always struggles with health too at the position.
Yeah, they had to get deeper at the wide receiver position. We talked about it last week with you guys on Necessary Roughness about how their Mike Williams never stays healthy, and it's just so going and getting a guy like Zay Flowers is going to be helpful for them. All right, Nick, what do you think? Who improved the most? It can't be your Bills since you didn't get Bijan Robinson, right?
No, yeah. I mean, I love my picks. I love all. I'd love to say one of my AFC East teams. Like, I hate to go with all offensive linemen, but I thought that's just that's what we needed.
Somebody had to do it.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be flashy to be good.
When you scroll up a little, let me see. So I'm thinking that I don't know. I'm thinking that whoever gets a guy like JSN is gonna catapult their team so much from what they had last season, and like guys couldn't throw to anybody, and I feel like the Titans have the best pick in the first round, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Nick, you don't have to feed his ego.
Baby.
Nah, because they're still gonna lose the division, so I gotta.
Oh, that's ridiculous. Ridiculous.
Come on. One seed, one and done.
All these rookie quarterbacks
multiple times in my life.
Had to throw some vinegar in there.
The Titans are the reason the Chiefs have this long-standing AFC championship game in Arrowhead.
That's true.
Because the Titans can never win in the playoffs.
They can't win in the playoffs. There's no good in the
By
playoffs.
God, they'll get there though.
Someday, folks.
All right, Michael, going over to you.
I hate to pick the team that I picked for, but I really do think that the Seahawks, for them to get Tyree Wilson and Jalen Hyatt, both just playmaker guys on both sides of the ball. I with them already being in a win now mode, in the Geno Smith era, which again is still hilarious to say. I think them getting a premier edge rusher and just an insane fast receiver that can just get open, I think they greatly improved here.
Yeah, these teams with multiple picks in the first round, they have a lot of flexibility and they can really manipulate the drafts a little bit there. The Lions, the Seahawks, the Eagles. I think you guys did a pretty sharp job with doing that. Well, let's move on. Let's move on to players that we feel were snubbed from the first round. Who did we miss out on? And Dan, I'll let you start. What's one player that probably should be drafted in the first round that we missed?
Man, well, I kind of touched on him a little bit when I was picking my guy, but it's Mayer from Notre Dame, that tight end. I don't think there's any chance with the actual results that he slips out of the first round. There's just the tight end class has such a big opportunity to make an impact in the NFL. For this year, we already kind of alluded to it earlier in the stream, how deep it is and how much talent there is, and it might be the best that we've ever seen. And I think Kincaid obviously is one of the top guys. You can argue him and Mayer like 1A, 1B, depending on how you look at it. And I think Mayer's going to make a huge impact wherever he goes. And if someone gets him in the second round, they're getting an absolute steal. I mean, I think this is the kind of guy that some teams may trade up to grab if he slips towards the back end of the first round. So, I mean, that's who my absolute number one snub is from the first round.
Yeah, I think there's going to be multiple tight ends taken, potentially up to 3. I think Washington could be taken in the first round as well. I don't know if 3 will be, but I wouldn't be surprised. Kev, what do you think here? Player that was snubbed from the first round.
Well, I don't know if this counts in the official scorecard, but I wrote it down in my notes as snipe number 6 because Dan, on my birthday, go ahead and takes the Notre Dame tight end. So can we pull up the list of available players, because I was gonna spend about 3 whole minutes just praising Michael Mayer, and I don't need to do that now. So let me see who else is available.
I don't know.
I had one opportunity to push my guys. Yeah, I don't. I'm gonna throw out Maisie then. Michigan defensive interior lineman. That was somebody who I took a couple of times late in the first round. I think there are a lot of other talents here. It's unfortunate we don't have the list in front of us, but I'm just going to retweet Dan's and then say my Michigan interior lineman, who I think could very well go in the first round if Chancey doesn't fall the way he did in our draft.
Quote tweet.
Yeah, that's another not sexy one, but somebody's probably going to grab the best true nose tackle, and just it's gonna be I don't know, it's gonna be one of those curveballs where you're like, oh yeah, trenches, that's right,
kind of important, kind of a big deal,
right? Nick would have got you had another pick. Nick knows trenches.
I do.
James, who do you got? Player that was snubbed in the first round.
I agree. I think Mayer's the number one. I look at possibly Will McDonald, edge out of Iowa State. I could see him. He's around the early mid-20s. I don't know enough about Emmanuel Forbes. I saw his name a lot today while doing my research. Maisie Smith. I think I'd go with Will McDonald. I think he's the one that one. There's a premium position. I think he could sneak in somewhere.
I like that one.
And I am going with Emmanuel Forbes. You guys brought him up earlier. It's just a position as well. It seems like it's usually pretty hot in the first round at cornerback. I could see him going. I saw him mocked a lot anyway, between 16 and 25. So for us to ignore him today, I could see him being out there on Thursday night. Gentlemen, any last thoughts about our mock draft here before we close this thing out?
I think it's just funny going through this exercise. Like you do a whole mock draft and you're like, oh yeah, I guess there aren't 45 first round picks. Like you think about all the guys you're missing and you're like, oh, this guy could go in the first round. This guy could go in the first round. And then you finish your first round and you're like, oh, Mozzie Smith is still there. Michael Mayer's still there. Like it's just
Anton Harrison.
Anton Harrison.
We've been talking about him routinely.
DeJuan Jones was still there. Keely Ringo was still there. I think the other corner.
Are you thinking about Julian Brents? Because I can't believe he didn't go.
Julius Brents is a freak, dude. Yeah, like they're I mean the second round's obviously there's a lot of really good players that go in the second round too, but it's always so fun to do this exercise and get to the back end of the first round and be like, it's like 10, 12 players I would take at 29 or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm interested to see overall just where these quarterbacks actually end up landing. And I always feel like there's a quarterback that's kind of sitting there at the back end of the first, like in years past, that teams will trade back into the first round to try to get. I don't know if there's that. I know there's not that quarterback this year. Maybe a guy like Hendon Hooker, but I don't really think he's worth it. But I don't know if it's going to be like a wide receiver this year, or maybe one of these tight ends. Or I just don't know if Bijan falls far enough. Like, I just don't know if there's some of these teams that are going to be sitting at the top of the second that are going to be willing to jump into the back end of the first round to grab somebody. Those are always just like, while watching as a fan, the more fun type of trades to see come in, because there's only 5 or 8 picks left, and then all of a sudden some team that was going to pick, fourth tomorrow is now picking because they made a great trade and they came up and got that quarterback or whatever it is. So I'm just interested to see if that's. I assume it's not going to play out this year, but interested to see if it does play out. Anything else from the team?
Yes, Lee, we are live Wednesday or Thursday night, 9:00, usual time.
Talking NBA playoffs.
Which the Philadelphia 76ers won tonight to go up 2-0 for anybody that cares. And Golden State is losing right now.
Let's go next.
Oh, I care about that. I led him 2.5.
They're down 9 at the moment.
That's where I'm headed to. Well, maybe I'll double down then.
There's nothing better than a West Coast sporting event on an Eastern time zone. It's going to be a long night.
Like the beam.
That's right.
The Bulls are in Denver. They play at 9. They start at 9:30 my time. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
And Denver's not even that far away from us.
I know, right?
Mountain time. God.
Well, Michael had to jump off. You guys can follow Michael at Michael Allen NFL on Twitter. He is also a part of the Necessary Roughness crew. And Michael also, I'm going to shout him out a little bit. He has been doing a lot of editing for us. He has done a lot of our shorts. So if you've got onto our YouTube channel, check out the shorts on there. They've been pretty great. He's doing a good job there. And I know he is looking to do a little bit of freelancing video, photo editing. So check him out again on Twitter at Michael Allen NFL. And John, I'm gonna send it to you. Let's close this thing out. We've been on here for an hour and 45 now. Great, it was great. I mean, I could have done this for like 3 hours, honestly. But
seriously,
let's close it out. Tell everybody where they can find you and anything you got cooking up.
Yeah, we got the bounce tomorrow night and every Tuesday night.
Necessary Roughness.
Necessary Roughness. Yeah.
You're welcome on the bounce anytime.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Come on down.
Get in while the Wolves are still playing playoffs.
We've got Necessary Roughness tomorrow night and every Tuesday. Me and the guy to my right, probably your left. That's throwing me off. 8 Central, 9 Eastern. Tomorrow we've got the we got the NFC West and NFC East that we're talking about leading up to the draft, and then we'll be doing a bunch of draft recap. You can also find me on Thursday nights on Minnesota Sports Talk Skull World Live, talking all things Vikings.
Nick.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we got necessary roughness tomorrow night. Excited for the draft. After doing all this, I mean, I'm so excited to just like see every single player that goes. I feel like I have a connection to all of them. It's gonna be a fun time. Join us tomorrow. Obviously, we got the bounce. Obviously, we got ADP. Enjoyed this so much. So thanks for having me on.
Yeah, it was a blast, guys.
Yep.
Yeah, Nate, tell the people where they can find you.
You can find me on most of my social media handles at Benham and Turkey. It's a nice play on words there. You can also find me banging on the door at Hallis Hall for a statue of Lovey Smith. So thanks, Lovey. And you can find me here and there in various bite-sized sports programs.
And if you ever need anything, any comments about a hooker, you can find him on the
yeah.
James.
Oh, you can find me on Twitter, Schmeitz06, and every Thursday, the bounce, 9 p.m. I'm hoping the Warriors can figure it out tonight, boys. I'm a little nervous.
9 p.m.
How dare
Eastern time. Eastern time, 8 o'clock Central. I'm in the wrong time zone. I'm sorry, folks. My co-host is out of control right now.
Dan.
Well, you can follow me at Dan_TF40 on Instagram and Twitter. That TF40 stands for my other pod, The Fastest 40, our NFL-centric show that drops every week during the NFL season. Follow them on Twitter as well at The Fastest_40. And then, of course, ADP with Trevor Wednesday night. You can follow us on Twitter at ADP_podcastFF. We'll be putting out all of our episode links, videos, all that fun stuff on the Twitter account there. And this Wednesday, we're actually going to be doing a Dynasty rookie mock draft. So a lot of fun. We get to mock it up again, baby.
Hell yeah.
That's right. More drafted. Kev, I'll let you go first.
All right. Well, thank you again to everyone. You can find me on Twitter at KevNevic_. Of course, you can find me messing around anywhere Bite Size Sports is on the internet. That's TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. Also, just for fun, if you like to talk about movies and comics and all that cool nerdy stuff, I run two different programs, Criticult and Dweeb with 2 Ds, where we talk about just all of the stuff I just mentioned. So anyway, I thank all of you for spending this time with me. I know it's not like you weren't here just to hang out with me, but it was a really cool way for me to spend a birthday to be able to hang out with you guys and do this. So thank you so much. And I'm out.
Hell yeah. Happy birthday once again.
Happy birthday, buddy.
HBD.
Cheers to you, Kev. Cheers to you, my man.
Boss.
Yeah, if you're still here with us, thank you so much for joining us. Hit that like button one more time if you haven't already. Tell your friends about us. Hit the subscribe button. That little bell up top will notify you every time anyone is live. And as you have heard already multiple times today, Necessary Roughness tomorrow night, ADP Wednesday night, and the bounce on Thursday night. What a great week of shows we've got lined up for you all. So come back, hang out in the chat for each and every one of those shows. You can find me on Twitter at TrevorS_FF. As Dan mentioned, ADP, we got the Dynasty Rookie Mock Draft. So join us on Wednesday night. And then I'll be bringing back the Rumbles of Red very soon. Best Ball Mania 4 on Underdog should be dropping shortly after the NFL Draft. And it's going to be a best ball summer. Pretty much every other Friday night, I will be live drafting Best Ball Mania drafts on the Bite Size Sport Network. So you might as well come on in and take my money and draft against me. So it'll be a great time on the Rumbles of Red. This has been awesome. Thank you all for showing up. Thank you all for being here. We're going to get out of here until Thursday night for the real draft. You can use our information for how it's going to look. See y'all.
Have a great one, guys.
Appreciate it, guys.